Hello, everybody. So, this is my Contrastive Stylistics final project, and obviously, I am Hannah Josephson. So, a little bit of introduction. For this project, I have chosen to compare a judgment published by France's Council of State, as well as an article published by the popular French newspaper Le Parisien. Both texts I've chosen focus on France's pass sanitaire and the COVID-19 pandemic. I chose to translate pass sanitaire as health pass, so if you see that throughout this presentation, that is why. So I wanted to work with COVID-19 because I think that these are just unprecedented times, and that it's a great opportunity to work with these texts as they're happening, because as soon as it's over, that means we'll be looking at these texts through a past lens instead of a current lens, and I think that does have an effect, So I thought this was very timely. So the first text I chose is from Le Conseil d'État, which is Council of State, a legal body, a government body. So this is a legal text, and it is written with a very formal register and tone. And by that I mean there's no casual or informal language used, an example of which is there is use of the word aforementioned, which you definitely don't hear in everyday conversation. And it's very impersonal. It does not feel like it was written by one person. There's no like I, me, my. It is very impersonal. It is written with very long and complex sentences. And the intended audience is that it was originally written for presentation to a judge. So I think that's really important to note, because any further audience would need to have a base of legal knowledge. And the purpose of this text is to be informational and then also to persuade. They're trying to convince the judge that it is unjust to require use of the health pass. And then the article from Le Parisien. So it is a newspaper article. And I would also like to note that Le Parisien is considered to be politically neutral. So that was something I definitely kept in mind when I was translating. And it definitely has a more informal register and tone, an example of which is the use of c'est, which, like in English, contractions are usually considered as less formal, more informal. It's something that is used more in spoken French than it is in written French. And then it also has quotations from interviews, which is spoken language. So I had to look at them as though they were being spoken to me as opposed to being written. And then, of course, it has shorter sentences, and the intended audience is the general public. So there's really no background knowledge necessary to read this article. You could just be scrolling by on Facebook, click it, and read it. And then the purpose is entertainment and informational. This article was written to inform people about protests going on around the health pass and health pass mandates, vaccine mandates. So terminology. The newspaper article is intended for general consumption, like I said, and therefore does not contain any specialized terminology, although it does contain medical terminology as related to COVID-19, like vaccine injection, healthcare worker, vaccine mandate, things like that, which were also present in the legal text. But then, of course, we go to the other side, which the legal text was intended to be read by those with a background in law, specifically a judge who has immense amounts of experience in law and in working with different kinds of laws, and it follows legal conventions, so it contains many subject-specific terms. I have just listed 3, and these all came from the first, I think, 2 or 3 sentences of the extract. So statement of facts, motion, and interim relief judge are 3 terms that I picked out. And honestly, it's not surprising if not everyone knows all of them in English. I definitely didn't know what an interim relief judge was at first. I had to look it up. I mean, I could tell by context clues, interim relief judge, but what it actually means in context, I had to Google it. So a little bit of contrastive analysis. There's definitely a large difference in the barrier to entry here. The legal text, you need a legal background to have any kind of grasp of what they're saying. That being said, I don't think you need to be a lawyer. I'm not, obviously, but you have to at least research, have a great dictionary, things like that, to be able to get what they're trying to say. And that is in stark contrast to the newspaper article, which was written for general consumption. So it was written explicitly so anybody would be able to click on it, read it, and understand it. And then kind of following that, terminology is part of that. The newspaper article really doesn't contain any kind of specialized terminology outside of the medical terms for COVID-19 that we've kind of been inundated with during this pandemic. So they don't even feel all that specialized anymore. They feel like a part of general conversation. That is definitely not the case with the legal text. You definitely need a dictionary sitting next to you when you're reading this. And I don't think anybody could just click it and figure it out. I mean, I've sent my translation to my parents and to my boyfriend, and they were like, I don't even know what this is saying. And then personal versus impersonal. Something that really stuck out to me was I felt that the legal text was written by committee, which it was. So, I mean, that makes sense. But because of that, it has a very impersonal feel, which is not the case with the newspaper article. It was written by one person, and it feels like it was written by one person. And then getting clicks. Something that stuck out to me, and that was always kind of in the back of my mind, was that the Council of State doesn't care if you read this. Whether or not you can read and understand and like this report, it doesn't matter. It's going to be published. It's going to happen. Whether or not you can read it. That is not the case at all with the newspaper article. If the editor doesn't think it's going to get clicks, if the editor doesn't think people are going to like it, if the editor doesn't think that people are going to be able to understand it, it's probably not going to get published. And again, the Council of State doesn't care. This is happening. This is real. It doesn't matter if you can read it or not. It's not necessarily for you to read. It's for the judge. So that was something that I tried to keep in mind as I was writing. And then I will be posting my references and stuff in the comments because I can't fit all of it onto a slide. So I am so happy to have shared this time with you. Thank you for watching.